The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
And Commander Shaw points out another more logical problem. This is the song that never ends, and there's some bloopers in here somewhere. I think there was one on this one. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Pumpkin Ranger, and welcome to a very special Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. There are two reasons that it's special. Number one, I'm not going to beat around the bush about this. This is not only the culmination of the current story arc, it's also a massive Power Rangers team-up event. Which leads me into the second reason. There's so much power set to be on display in this episode that I didn't feel like I should take this on all by myself. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this, but I am originally from the Miami, Florida area. So I decided to look back to my roots to get some help with this one. I'll allow my co-host a moment to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, it's ESTE here, and like your host, I'm actually South Florida native myself, so I'm super excited to combine forces today and take a deep dive into this very special episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers.
ESTE, I am absolutely thrilled to have you along for this one. This is how the format of this video is going to work. It's going to work out mostly like my regular reviews. I'm going to do a plot recap and be giving my thoughts. Whenever ESTE has something he wants to chime in with, or I'd like his thoughts on something, he's just going to pop in. That sound like a plan, ESTE?
Sounds good here. I say we jump right into it.
Great! With all of that established, let's take a look at the 13th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Grid Connection. Please make sure you're subscribed to both my channel as well as ESTE's channel, which is ESTE the Gamer on YouTube. Get those notifications set up for both channels, ring both of those bells, so you find out whenever either one of us posts brand new videos. And if you'd like to lend any financial support to my channel, you can consider checking me out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. But another way that you can help support ESTE is that he's actually part of a group called 5 Loco that just dropped a brand new EP called 2009. You can search the DistroKid website to find that, stream it, repost about it, let other people know about it. It's a hit. The episode begins in one of Grid Battle Force's hangars as Commander Shaw has called the Rangers for a meeting. Devin hopes that this is training or just something unimportant as he's on his way to a video game tournament. However, this is something quite important as Commander Shaw shows them that Keeper has returned. Via a transportal? No. Via his little magic smoke trick? No, he actually just flew his spaceship there.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Keeper has come to give the Beast Morphers Rangers a dire warning. He has experienced a vision of the future, one where he saw a number of different Ranger teams taking place in a great battle. Keeper, for the last time, you were watching Power Rangers reruns on Netflix, you fell asleep, you woke up during Super Mega Force, and thought you were having a vision. Actually, no, because in this vision, the Rangers lose.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Keeper was unable to tell which teams of Rangers were in this fight, but he did have a separate vision of Devin getting hit by a meteor from space. Devin is skeptical of all this, even as the others say that the grid has mysterious powers, and Keeper's connection to the grid might grant him some of those abilities. I'm a little bit shaky on this, but it's really hard to remember any particular point where the grid gave a person the ability to see into the future. ESTE, you got anything?
The Morphing Grid has always been so confusing. In the near 25 years that this show has been airing, the Morphing Grid really hasn't been explained much, if not at all. And now we're supposed to believe that it can see into the future? I'm not really buying it, to be honest. There was this short promotional episode of Dino Thunder where Kira and Ethan would touch a physical Morphing Grid to see into the future next team of Rangers, Power Rangers SPD, but to be honest, I didn't really find that episode to be canon much at all, and just kind of threw that out of my mind. But my point still stands. We're way overdue for an explanation, and that's something this episode just doesn't give to us at all.
Yeah, I'm sure the viewers started screaming about that little Dino Thunder short that publicized SPD as soon as I mentioned about the grid not giving people the ability to see into the future. My thing with that is the grid did not turn Kira and Ethan into psychics. They touched the grid and were able to access it and see through it to see a team in the future.
Well, that settles that.
Devin points out that despite the dire warning, there is no current ongoing threat, and if the Rangers do need him, the gaming tournament is less than an hour away. Commander Shaw allows him to go, warning him to stay alert and to be careful. Keeper also warns him, saying Devin should not doubt these mysterious grid powers. Devin sarcastically says he'll watch the sky for falling rocks and leaves with Cruz. On some weird country road somewhere, Cruz has gotten the two lost. This is something I kinda don't like. I saw it coming, but I'm not really fond of it. Cruz is forgetful. But Cruz is also a robot who surely has access to a network of GPS satellites. I don't buy that Cruz forgot the directions or something. And heck, if Devin knows that Cruz is capable of doing that, then just use Cruz as a motorcycle and pull up GPS directions on your cell phone. Anyway, lo and behold, the two of them get hit by a big purple meteor. Didn't have to wait long for that part to come true. Back at the base, Nate gets a transmission from another dimension. It's Tyler, and it's a distress call. The Dino Charge Rangers are under attack by a force that is trying, and at the moment succeeding, in stealing their energems. He opens a transportal for them to come and assist. By the by, they see a dinosaur run by the screen, and the show takes the chance to re-establish that dinosaurs are still alive in the Dino Charge dimension. The four Beast Morphers Rangers have a neat little instamorph in the lab and head on through. The force attacking the Dino Charge Rangers is the group of 3 Dino Season grunts, along with Snide and Goldar. Tyler and Ivan have already lost their energems, but we see that Chase still has his and is still morphed. However, Snide knocks him aside, a Snide, if you will, demorphing him, and he takes the black energem. We then see Koda fighting Goldar, still morphed and having his energem. However, the big shiny monkey gets the upper hand, flipping the caveman, demorphing him, and taking the blue energem. Now he, Goldar Maximus, has the blue energem. And now he, Goldar Maximus, has established his new name clunkily in spoken dialogue. And by the by, I unfortunately have to take back the credit I gave Goldar Maximus's voice actor last week. He just screams every single line in this episode when Goldar had a perfectly normal, calm speaking voice when the situation called for it. I'm not just talking about fight dialogue. When the Rangers first show up, Goldar is already screaming every line like he's doing a pre-wrestling match trash talk sequence. Goldar! You may have the energems, but do you have the energuns? Goldar smacks down the 4 Beast Morphers Rangers, demorphing them all by himself. Ravi sends a distress call back to Grid Battle Force, but it didn't seem like he had gotten through. Meanwhile, Devin returns to the base to report getting hit by a space rock, but right now, Commander Shaw doesn't really care. It turns out that apparently Ravi did get through, explaining that all of their gear, including their morphers, have been destroyed, and Goldar and the bad guys have 4 of the energems. As Keeper enters, Devin apologizes to him for not listening to his grid-powered warning, though he really had no reason to take it seriously. There was no evidence of it at that point. And we start to get into kind of a Star Trek The Next Generation cause and effect situation. There was no way for Devin to know that doing anything differently, or doing nothing and staying at the base, wouldn't have led to exactly the same predicted future. Devin wants to go help, but apparently the transportal was part of the equipment that was destroyed, so that's going to be a little difficult. Besides, Commander Shaw points out a more logical problem. Goldar, and they repeat his full name like 8 times in this episode, and there was not a single point that I cared. It's Goldar. And Snide have defeated 8 Power Rangers thus far. One more is not going to swing the tide. So this is where the story starts to get a little bit weird. Devin remembers that there are all sorts of Power Ranger teams out there, but the one thing they have in common is that the grid connects them all. Devin feels like he can use the Morphing Grid itself to send out a distress call and get some help. Keeper says that this is possible, but without his staff, it's not something that he can accomplish. Devin says, hey, our Morphex towers have the grid flowing through them 24/7. He can just head to one of those and use that to access the grid and send a message out somehow. Commander Shaw says there is way too much power flowing through a Morphex tower for that to be safe, when Cruz walks in literally carrying a Deus Ex Machina, as we're going to discuss. He had to get a lead box to contain the meteor that hit them, because it turns out the meteor has the ability to dampen energy fields around it. Devin realizes this is incredibly convenient. He can enter the Morphex tower holding the meteor, and that should lessen the energy flow enough for him to be able to access the grid and send out a message. Here's my big issue though, and this is something I'm going to have ESTE chime in on because 1, I'm curious to hear his thoughts on this, and 2, I've been talking for too long without giving him a chance to chime in. Devin says that obviously the Morphing Grid sent him that meteor for a reason. The Morphing Grid is not God. To our knowledge, the grid is not even sentient. Yes, it might be able to convey the ability of a little future sight here or there or whatever, but to my memory, the grid has never been an active force with a will.
There's no instance in the Power Rangers universe, at least to my knowledge, where the Morphing Grid is actually alive. Yes, there are multiple fan theories, conspiracies, and all that, but we don't really know. There's not really much proof of that either. It's 100% a possibility though, but however, I think that this is just a coincidence. A meteor sent by Faith, hit Devin, nothing to do with the Morphing Grid. It's still weird though that there was a meteor in the sky in the first place that fell onto a Power Ranger out of all people on this earth. But hey, this is Power Rangers. Why am I trying to explain this right now to you?
As I was live tweeting this episode and mentioned this, I had several people point out that several seasons feature power MacGuffins that chose their wielders, which implies that since the grid powers those, the grid has some kind of a will. I don't exactly agree. You see, Power Rangers also quantifies goodness as a measurable energy source and power, so I feel like those powers were more unlocked by finding people with strong enough goodness or strong enough will. It wasn't an active decision of the grid's will, in my opinion. There's something else I need to say here, and I've been holding back on saying it because of my appreciation, but this episode kind of pushes it over the line. Beast Morphers, I have been loving and appreciating how much you have mentioned the Morphing Grid and made it part of the story again, but you're taking it a little too far now. It is just as bad to mention the grid every 5 seconds as it is to not mention the grid at all. I really would have rather that they had kept it ambiguous how and why this meteor came to Devin. Have him think it was just random chance. Have Keeper mention something about the mysterious powers of good and evil or something.
Yes, yes, and yes. I totally agree that they really tried to shoehorn the Morphing Grid in here. I know the Morphing Grid connects all Ranger teams together, but the Morphing Grid really didn't have a special part in this episode, at least in my opinion, right? It wasn't at stake, the villains weren't trying to get into it or use it, blah blah blah. They just used it to bring back Jason. That's really what the Morphing Grid was used for, and Keeper's vision, for some reason, that there was a big team up about to happen. Other than that, why? This episode was called Grid Connection, but the grid wasn't really important in any way. It was just a story aspect used to pad out this episode.
So the three head over to a Morphex tower, and Devin steps into a room where the grid is a big green beam of light. Keeper tells Devin to turn off his targeting sensors and to trust the Force. to trust the grid. Holding the meteor, Devin is able to step into the beam of light and calls out to other Rangers for help. The meteor rises into the air and dissolves, revealing the Tyrannosaurus Power Coin.
Excuse me, the f did you just say?
I'm gonna cover that part in a second, but this also opens a transportal, somehow, and Jason leaps through. Yes, Jason. That Jason. Austin St. John. Jason. Funny enough, Jason knows who Devin is, but not why Devin's calling for help. Devin explains the situation, and Jason thinks that this Goldar Maximus must be somehow related to the Goldar that Zordon destroyed. Devin gives him the power coin, and Jason says it's time for Grid Battle Force to team up with some legendary dino power. So, the Tyrannosaurus Power Coin. Jason had this coin in Forever Red, and as far as we know, nothing happened to it. So why was it just in a meteor that happened to hit Earth at this particular moment? Weirdly enough, this actually reminded me of an idea from a Star Trek Power Rangers fanfic that I've had kicking around my head for years, where the last team of Power Rangers on Earth, feeling unneeded in a changing world, threw their power coins into space for safekeeping.
Moving right along,
We cut to a forest where the bad guys are in the process of making a Zord. Keeper told them the process while he was under that collar's mind control, but they're spicing up the recipe a little bit, shall we say. Instead of DNA from just one dinosaur, they're using all 6 represented by the Dino Charge Rangers. And metal and crystals? They're using metal and crystals all right. The 4 energems they captured.
That's a spicy meatball!
Devin and Jason arrive to find the other Rangers, including Riley and Shelby, who are still morphed. Earlier, Scrozzle dropped a line about how they would have been able to get all 6 of the energems if some of the Rangers had not escaped. The two have brought new equipment for everyone, including the Dino Charge Rangers. Yes, they have brought them Dino Chargers charged with Morphex instead of Energem power. Jason takes charge because he's freaking Jason, telling the Beast Morphers Rangers to circle around back quietly while he leads the Dino Charge Rangers in a full frontal assault. They leave the forest, walk through about a quarter-mile stretch of desert, and up to a large cliff. Because geography is just another science the Power Rangers will beat with an aluminum bat. But before they can scale the geographically unlikely cliff, Goldar, Snide, the Robos, and the Grunts show up. Jason sure hopes that Goldar Maximus is tougher than the last Goldar they defeated, and Goldar says that he is.
What are you talking about?
Hey, Jason? Hey there, Goldar? You are the last Goldar! I wouldn't necessarily expect Jason to know this, but Devin should have known it, and Goldar definitely should know it. He is not a copy, he is not a clone, or anything else like that. He is the revived Goldar, just upgraded. All the other enemies that have been revived so far, from Vargoyle on down the line, have been their actual revived selves with their own memories. It makes the focus on Goldar Maximus all the weirder. And it makes me wonder if this is perhaps the writers trying to speak directly to us older fans and going, look, listen, it's not actually the classic Goldar that you remember so nostalgically, so you don't have to get upset that he gets destroyed at the end of the episode. Spoilers, I guess. That does make a little bit of sense, but the problem with that is, no, this really is Goldar. If that was really Sledge that was murdered in cold blood last week, this is really Goldar.
Now, I'm surprised that no writers actually noticed this. I've watched this episode twice now, and I'm still kind of confused on whether this is a new Goldar or an old Goldar. In my opinion, I think it's the old Goldar's memories inside a new body. It's basically Goldar reborn. But the conversation that this Goldar Maximus just had with Jason is really making things confusing, scrambling stuff in my mind. I'm gonna leave it to you. What do you guys think? Is this an old Goldar or a new Goldar? Let me know. Or let us know.
I do suppose that being reborn in a stronger form could give you a sense of separation from that previous identity to the point that you'd be able to say that you are stronger than that previous iteration of yourself. But anyway, I don't really want MPG to pipe up in a team-up collaboration review, so we're just going to move on. The two of them bark at each other some more, and then Jason flips his power coin into the air. Somehow, this causes 2 transportals to open this time, and out of those transportals leaps the other 4 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the main team, and the main 3 Dino Thunder Rangers. What the grid is going on here?
That's a stupid question.
Is it? Really? How did his coin do that? Wait a minute. Is that why we're assigning the grid sentience all of a sudden? So when people like me ask how this is happening, the writers can just say, the Morphing Grid did it. The unmorphed Rangers morph, including Jason, and it's all instamorphs, which is really disappointing. Jason pulls a power morpher directly out of his butt. I'm guessing that the Ranger Vaulting Grid Battle Force had one, but they don't establish that. I was just really disappointed to not get a new morph for Jason the way we did for Adam previously.
Me too. Honestly, it would have been so cool having a new morphing sequence for Jason. However, if they tried to add that into the episode along with a morphing sequence for the Dino Charge Rangers, it would really extend this episode, and considering how much they already put into the episode, a morphing sequence would have just taken stuff out from the main battle. But considering that they did a new Mighty Morphin Red sequence in Super Mega Force when Troy went Legendary Ranger mode, they could have easily done this here too. And once a Ranger, Adam had his own morphing sequence too, even though this was 13 years ago, it still would have been cool to see it. Regardless of that, it doesn't take away the excitement from this episode because all of the Dino Rangers are finally here together.
The man's right. 14 dinosaur-themed Power Rangers face off against Goldar and his army. It's a lot of flashy, exciting fighting that's a lot of fun to watch and kind of difficult to write things to talk about. Ivan destroys Robo-Roxy, calling her Milady. The Dino Thunder Rangers form the Z-Rex Blaster, and yeah, they are dubbed by different actors. In fact, all of the suit-only Power Rangers aren't even credited with voice work on IMDb. Anyway, that destroys Snide, and since the tide is turning, Robo Blaze leaves to go warn Evox about this. Back in the forest, Evox and Scrozzle are putting the finishing touches on their evil, ultimately powered Zord. The Beast Morphers finally finish sneaking around this forest and confront them, but Evox just knocks them back and then uses Keeper's staff to infuse the Geode with his own warrior spirit, whatever that means for a computer virus. The Geode tunnels into the earth and starts growing Evox's Chimera Zord. He orders Robo Blaze to destroy the Rangers, but Devin just summons the Ultra Bow and fires one shot, and he explodes. Again. Back over with the dinos, it's down to just Goldar, and boy, do these Rangers throw something together to take care of him. They each combine all of their weapons, and then combine those. The Power Blaster, the Z-Rex Blaster, and the Dino Spike are combined into the Dino Power Ultra Blaster, which they then just throw at Goldar, which destroys him. Then Evox just walks onto the set, saying their fight is far from over. The Geode emerges from the earth, and he leaps into the air with it, where the Geode grows into a giant monster. Listen, you can give this thing as many cockpits and original footage as you want to. It was clearly not a Zord. By the by, Jason thought Serpentera was bad, but that thing has 6 heads! The Rangers get blasted around and realize they're going to need some heavy metal to deal with this. They summon their Zords, and the 3 main dinosaur Megazords take the stage. The Dino Megazord, the Thundersaurus Megazord, and the Dino Charge Megazord.
That was totally wicked!
This is pure history right here. 3 different Rangers, 3 different teams, 3 different eras. There's literally something that any Ranger fan from any year can enjoy right now. And the thing is that we didn't have to get this moment at all. They could have skipped this movie, went on with the show, but in tier 2020, we're getting a 2014 movie adapted. But seeing these characters again in or out the suit, these characters that I've admired for so many years in the same battle, fighting the same villain, that's just something magical that you can only find in Power Rangers.
Of course, even I can't argue that this moment was 44 flavors of amazing. But that's when the nitpickers notice something that's a little bit off about it. As a matter of fact, though, I missed this and had to have somebody point it out to me while I was live tweeting the episode. So my full credit to @RealJGG on Twitter for pointing out this little fact. It was absolutely wonderful to see the Dino Megazord and Thundersource Megazord again. Especially since both of those Megazords were destroyed. As a matter of fact, the Dinozords were turned into the Thunderzords and then destroyed a second time. The Ranger Wiki article on this episode mentions something about the Zords being rebuilt at some point, which the episode doesn't even bother to include, so who knows how they're here. I guess the grid did it. In a nice little touch, the episode uses old footage from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Dino Thunder, and Dino Charge to show the Rangers in their Megazord cockpits, which helped the immersion quite a bit, as a matter of fact. However, the Chimera Zord is far larger, and despite the Megazords flying around in CG footage, this thing clearly still has the advantage. Devin calls for the Beast X King Zord, and it combines with the Dino Charge Megazord. Kind of. Its head comes off and becomes a shield. Dino Charge Megazord, Beast X King formation. I guess. The 3 Megazords fire a single blast that destroys the Chimera Zord, Evox teleporting away. Sure, that makes sense, I guess. The Rangers gather on the ground, and when Connor tells Zoe that they haven't seen the last of Evox, not only at that point is it painfully obvious that this is a different actor, I'm pretty sure it was Janie Linehan, Steel's voice actor. And this would make sense with these roles being uncredited. I'm imagining that pretty much all of the Beast Morphers actors pulled double duty in voicing some of these other Rangers. For example, Jacqueline Sislowski and Leanna Ramirez probably voiced characters like Kimberly, Kira, whoever the Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger was. Pretty standard goodbye sequence, but especially considering how rushed the rest of the episode feels.
Oh, dropped a critic bomb there.
It goes on a touch too long. The morphed-only Rangers leave, then Jason leaves, then the Beast Morphers leave, but Devin sticks around to say another line before this thing finally wraps up. Let's dig up some shades. Episode 13, Grid Connection. Pros, an epic scale crossover between multiple Ranger teams. Seeing old Megazords again was amazing, and the build-up over 5 episodes. Cons, just like the Sentai movie, the Beast Morphers are an afterthought in their own team-up. A lot of weird details are just kind of brushed over, and for the end of a 5-episode arc, this felt incredibly rushed. Taken on its own, this episode is probably a 3, maybe a 3.5, but can we really take something like this just on its own merits? No, of course not. Grid Connection gets 4 shades out of 5. ESTE, my channel's known for being incredibly formal, but I know you're more of a laid-back kind of guy. So if you would, just let me know 1 or 2 things you liked about this episode, 1 or 2 things you didn't like about this episode, and then hit us with a score out of 5, just to see how we line up on this.
Alright, check it. The first thing I really liked in this episode was the connection between the Beast Morphers and the Dino Charge Rangers. They were both fighting the exact same battle in the beginning, out of suit by the way, and it was just so cool. They were fighting this battle, fighting these new villains, and it was tough. It was really tough for them, and they really showed it with their emotion on how harsh this battle has been to them. And seeing them fight together as one team, That's just absolutely so beautiful. And the second thing I really liked was the overall battle. I've been waiting for this battle for like 6 years now. I was 13 when that Super Sentai movie came out, and now I'm almost 20. So seeing this finally on screen is just absolutely so amazing. It's been so worth seeing these characters, hearing their voices, defeating these iconic villains. It was just so cool to see. They did a really good job integrating the Beast Morphers into the fight as well, and seeing the cockpits was a very nice touch. Now, the things I did not like in this episode was, first of all, Devin's attitude. Why, Devin? Why'd you have to do what you have to do? Devin's like, oh, there's a big battle about to happen. There's a meteor gonna fall on me. You know, whatever. I got a video game tournament I gotta go to. And he got hit by that meteor. So karma got him really fast on that one. It was just overall egotistical and very selfish of Devin. The second thing would have to be the Morphing Grid. They really shoehorned it in, really forced it into this episode. It was useless, right? I feel like there could have been another way involving Jason and all these legendary rangers in here, but they didn't do it. They're like, oh, the Morphing Grid has a vision. Combine it with Morphex and let's see what happens. Like, why? Overall, though, out of 5, I would give it about a 3.5. It's like a strong 4, light 3 in my scale. It was a really good episode, alright? Much more better if you watch the 2 previous Beast Morpher episodes. It really makes this a nice 3-parter and really brings it all together. I feel like this episode is much better than Dimensions in Danger. That had 10 rangers to deal with, while this only had 5. So I feel like each ranger got their own spotlight in a way. And I also feel like this is on par with Once a Ranger, you know? But really what stopped this from being a perfect episode was the stuff, like I said, Devin's attitude, the shoehorning of the Morphing Grid, also Jason's portrayal in this episode. I know Jason was trying to sound epic. He's like, oh, I'm the original Red Ranger. But that's kind of how it sounded cheesy. It was supposed to be, I'm the original Red Ranger. It's supposed to sound epic, but it really didn't come out as epic. Overall, very good episode. It's fine.
I totally agree about Austin's acting, by the way. He starts out really overwrought, almost Shakespearean, especially in the Morphex Tower, though he does mellow out as the episode goes on. Well, the Beast Morphers Rangers and the Dino teams might be done teaming up, but ESTE and I are not. This team up got us thinking about the other Power Rangers team ups and what our differences and similarities on that list might be. So over on ESTE's channel, be on the lookout for ESTE's top 10 Power Rangers team ups, featuring special guest, the Orange Ranger. ESTE, I cannot thank you enough for co-hosting with me on this review. It's actually a lot of fun to review a team up episode while teaming up with another content creator.
Thank you so much for having me on. I had such a great time reviewing this episode. And if you want to see more awesome Power Rangers content like this video right here, don't forget to go check out my channel. And stay tuned because really soon, I got a new exclusive crossover episode coming with the Orange Ranger over on my channel. So you don't want to miss it. Go check it out. Ring the bell. Join the E-Squad today. It's all love to the Orange Ranger and all love to all of you watching. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Love y'all. Peace!
Nothing but love right back at you, ESTE. Next time, it's going to be Halloween, but only here in the real world. Life gets back to normal for the Beast Morphers Rangers, so let's take a peek at how that goes in the 14th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Golden Opportunity. Nate is reunited with his parents after a long time, but his excitement takes a turn when they give him a compelling and difficult choice. Meanwhile, Robo Roxy takes the opportunity to upgrade herself with Flower DNA to prove her worth to Evox. And that is going to wrap up another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my and ESTE's review of it down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. My thanks once again to ESTE for the assist on this one, and until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Hello there, heroes! I'm the Pumpkin Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review.
Yes, yes, and yes. I totally agree. Thank you, camera.
Hello there, heroes! I'm the Pumpkin Ranger, and welcome to a very special...
Why are my dogs barking?
Please make sure you subscribe to both my channel as well as ESTE's, which is ESTE the Gamer on YouTube. Hearts.
To be honest, it's up to you. What do you guys think? Is this what does my dog want? I'm gonna put my dog.
Yeah, I'm sure people started screaming about that Dino Thunder publicizing SPD little short thing.
Now, I'm surprised that no writers actually noticed this. I've watched this episode. However, regardless of that, it doesn't take out the excitement that the
Back at the base, Nate gets a dimension.
This is pure history right here. In the same Megazord battle together. Blah, let me do it again.
As
These people that I've been connected to for so many years. Let me do that one again. What, seeing these Rangers again? These Rangers that I've been... Let me do that one again.
Devin says that this is all... I don't know.
But seeing these characters again, I'm so sorry. Get that they had to use it to bring back Jason and all the Mighty Morphin and Dino Charge Rangers.
If that was really Sledge that was murdered in cold blood...
Hey, thanks for having me on. I had so much fun reviewing this episode with you. Hey, thanks for having me on. I had so much fun reviewing this episode with you. If you want to check out...
Wait, is this why we're
where I have so much Power Rangers content, and be on the lookout because I got a special